Hi, I'm Phoebe Nabors of Neighborhood Books, and today we're going to be talking about Chapter 5 of Dragonsoul, which is mostly just going to be a deep dive into the origin of magic. You may remember last time I mentioned that Alicia accidentally discovered that she has magic, and that the dragons are trying to figure out whether or not she's lying about not knowing that fact. But before we get into that, we want to discuss where magic came from and how she may or may not know that she actually has it herself. So the world of Elbot has 3 main continents, which are also the 3 major nations: Ephriat, Carcerin, and Belmopan. And several thousand years ago, these 3 nations were at war, and they were destroying the world. So a young man named Philomena called out to the creator of the world and asked for deliverance. The creator responded by giving Philomena the power of the dictator. So he would get to choose a child at birth who he would train up knowing how to use the dragon magic. Philomena wasted no time, and the first child that was born, he chose. That child's name was Barkley, and with the help of a few local dragons, he raised this child, trained him how to use his magic, and eventually sent him off with the help of several dozen dragons to end the war and bring peace again. After the war was ended, the creator granted Philomena another gift. This was the Elixir of Life, so that he could be immortal and every generation raise up a new magic user to continue bringing peace. But he told Philomena that the Elixir of Life was only for him, and he didn't want to be alone. So he shared the elixir with his friend Briganti, who in turn shared it with his wife, Zipporah. The creator was obviously not pleased with this rebellion, so as punishment, Philomena would no longer have this power and authority to be the sole dictator in charge of keeping the world at peace. Now Briganti would also have the power to choose a chosen babe each generation. But this power, born of rebellion, gave rise to the Dark Souls, who are known by all to be corrupt and evil magic users. And for Zipporah, every child that she would give birth to would also be, if a male, a dictator, and if a female, the mother of dictators. Thus, further reducing the special, unique aspect of Philomena and now also Briganti's role. Now, it didn't take much time for Zipporah and Briganti and Philomena to realize that this second generation of dictators were much weaker and were only giving rise to mere magicians. And so, deciding to double down in their rebellion, Philomena and Briganti took matters into their own hands and started doing unethical experiments. What if they chose one of Zipporah's daughters to have magic? Would a magic wielder give birth to dictators that had more powerful babes? Well, it turned out yes, and their experiments increased the number of Dragonsouls, duplicated the Dark Souls, but also gave rise to a third unique creature, and this is the Light Souls. After several centuries of all of this going on, the creator ended the line of Zipporah. And no longer would the multiplication of magic users continue. The next important thing to understand about magic is that Dragon Souls, Dark Souls, and Light Souls, when they use enough magic, they will transform into what is known as their true form. It is a more powerfully pure physical form for them, where it is easier for them to wield and control their power. For Dragon Souls, when they transform into their true form, they grow the wings of a dragon and are able to fly. For light souls, they are imbued with this bright bluish white light. Think Galadriel from The Lord of the Rings when she's being tempted by the ring. Light souls look a little bit like that. And then dark souls, in their true form, are covered with a black cloak that just gets darker the farther down you get, until at their feet they're surrounded by black billowing smoke that just follows them where they go. The important thing about the true form, though, is that a magic user can only enter their true form if they know what they are. So if a dragon soul has been raised believing that he was a light soul, he will not be able to enter into his true form because he doesn't know what it is. And this is why, when the dragons are trying to decide whether or not to believe Alicia, they will force as much of their power onto her as they can, trying to force her into her true form. If they succeed, they know she's been lying and she knows exactly who she is. If they fail, she very well may not have known she had magic. As you might have expected, they failed. She did not change into her true form. And for most of the party, this is enough, and they're perfectly satisfied to continue on as they were, believing her, trusting her, allowing her to lead them to the Elixir of Life. For Dagmar, as you may remember being the suspicious dragon with a bad attitude, he is completely convinced that she's a dark soul. Maybe she has found a way to not transform into her true form. Maybe she doesn't realize she's a dark soul, but she's got to be a dark soul. There's a lot more that happens in this chapter. There are decisions being made. There's a little bit of backstory for Alicia and for Connor. And they get to progress a little bit farther in their journey as Alicia continues to be completely confused by her mother's map and not telling anyone about that. So if you want to find out what happens next, I'll have the book linked in the description below. Or you can just continue coming back and I will be back next week. Thank you.